Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Truth. I am your host, one who loved the most, Niall Hassan, back with a brand new episode here in The Truth. Back once again with AJ and Lucas. Again, third show of the day, so I'm hoping that you guys have not fallen from doing good. We started recording about 45 minutes ago. But anyways, I know Lucas is particularly excited about this show as we're going to be doing the AL Central and our Minnesota Twins. But before we go and talk about the Twins, for those that are new to the series, if you missed the other episodes, highly recommend you go check those out. We give you basically, or I don't give you guys, Lucas and AJ gave you guys basically two prospects, one to look out for coming up and one to look out for down the line in each of the divisions, and we'll obviously go through all 30 MLB teams. So, first team in the division, AJ, go ahead and give me some White Sox guys to look out for.
Yeah, so my first one, I'm going to go Kyle Teal. First round pick by Boston, number 14 overall back in 2023. Really good defensive catcher, really good offensively also. Was already up in Double A and Triple A this past season. Hit 288 between the two, 112 games, 13 doubles, 23. Uh, 13 home runs, 23 doubles. Also had 12 stolen bases at catcher, 68 walks, 116 strikeouts. So a solid ratio there. Really good offensive catcher. Honestly, I think that he could be a Cal Raleigh type player. 6 foot, 190 pounds. Like I said, really good defensively. Has a really good bat. Has a good amount of pop also. Is a little bit more of a hit over power. Oh, like so a little bit different than Cal Raleigh. I think if you flip those, Cal Raleigh is obviously more of a power over hit type guy. But outside of that, I think there's a lot of good comparisons there. Teal's 22 years old. I mean, that catcher spot's got to be wide open there. There isn't much to look forward to as a White Sox fan. I mean, I guess a little bit more after trading Crochet and getting the Hall prospects you guys got back. But I'm also going to go with a different guy you got back in a trade mid-season last year, and Edgar Quero. Originally was a international signing to the Angels, was traded over mid-season last year. But in between Double A and Triple A last year, and between the Angels minor league teams and the White Sox Triple A team, hit 280 in that time, 16 home runs, 16 doubles, 70 RBIs, 41 runs, 39 walks, 70 strikeouts. Had an 829 OPS, and he's been one of my favorite catchers to watch in the minor leagues. If there wasn't Logan O'Hoppe over there with the Angels, there's a good chance Edgar Quero would have been the starting catcher last year, but obviously O'Hoppe is great. So Quero was kind of on the open market, and again, I don't really know if he's going to make his debut this year, especially if Kyle Teal makes his debut. But I think it's going to be the rotation for the catchers for the future. Hopefully, Kyle Teal and Quero either switching between DH and catching, or maybe Teal sees some play at first base while Quero is starting catcher. But I don't know. I really like that combo there. Two really good bats there. 21 and 22 years old. They both were in AAA last year. Both guys that could really make the team this year. I think Teal is just a little bit more ready for the catching position in the major leagues compared to Quero, but I think Quero can still hit.
Lucas, your White Sox guys.
Yeah, I really like the White Sox minor league system. I mean, that makes sense when you're trading everybody and don't have anybody at the major league level. The first guy I got, Jake Gonzalez, 2023 first round pick. He had a rough year, but I still expect good things. I mean, it kind of changed now, but I think that more often than not, first round picks are good players. 500 plus at bats with a 238 average, 8 home runs, 57 RBIs, 17 steals. Played in Double A. I mean, he's a doubles hitter, and that's just kind of the way it goes. But I mean, I mentioned he had a rough year, but I think that there's still a bright future. Especially, it doesn't take much to be in the major leagues for the White Sox, which is just crazy, but it's just the way it is. And then, guy I got for the future, or I mean, with the White Sox, who knows? It's Hagen Smith. He's a big left-handed pitcher out of Arkansas. Number 5 overall pick, 84 innings, 34 walks, 261 strikeouts. It's just crazy to me. He had a 2 ERA, but it's that strikeout number that's crazy. I mean, he's almost averaging 2 strikeouts per inning. So do the math. That's 18 per 9. Don't think that's sustainable. But pitching the SEC, I mean, I don't play college baseball or anything, but I hear that's a pretty good conference. So I think seeing those numbers at that level and being a left-handed pitcher that's so valuable, I think is definitely important for the White Sox. I could see him knowing the way the White Sox are pitching at the end of this year, but who knows? But I think he's definitely going to make an impact.
Okay, AJ, the Twins.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Andrew Morris. Last year spent some time or went from single A, sorry, A plus ball all the way up to triple A, but he's been great his entire minor league career. Last season, 10-5 record with a 2.37 ERA in 26 games, 133 innings, which is the first time he's gone over 100 innings since minor league career with 133 Ks. Only 32 walks within that time, which is absolutely amazing. With a 222 average against him. But it seems like that's been his thing his entire career is that he'll give up a little more hits, but he's not going to walk a lot of guys. That means he's in the zone a good amount. He has a career ERA of a 2.56 ERA in 218 and a third innings, and only 51 walks on the career. I mean, he's been great. Like I said, he made it all the way up AAA last year. This is a guy I wouldn't be surprised if he makes his debut. I don't think he'll make the opening day roster, but he's someone that I could at least see come out of the pen at some point for you guys. Like I said, he's been great his entire career. He was a fourth round pick back in 2022. And then I'm going to go with you guys' 17th overall prospect in Brandon Winokur. 20 years old, 6'6", 210 pounds, super utility guy. Played some outfield, shortstop, and third. Uh, Last year in A-ball, only hit 249, but had a 327 on base, but 14 home runs, 3 triples, 19 doubles with 23 stolen bases. Only 34 walks, 115 strikeouts, so not great there, but I mean, he makes really good contact. He's able to straight ball all over. One of his big things, I mean, he's a big power guy, like mentioned, like having 14 home runs in 94 games as a 20-year-old in A plus ball. Solid there, but not the best batting average. He does have 55 power and 60 run tool, which I mean wouldn't be too far off. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but that sounds kind of like Byron Buxton in a way. Super quick. Obviously Buxton only plays outfield, but Brandon could play infield, outfield, whatever you need him to. But really good pop. Not going to hit for a high average, but really quick and able, like I said, able to hit for a lot of home runs.
This should be fun, Luke. All right, let's see what your Twins are.
It was so hard to pick. God, I could have done like 15 or 20, but picked some guys. I love Brandon Winokur. I remember he had a 3-homer game this year, so that was amazing. But first guy I picked, Luke Keeschel, middle infielder out of ASU. Forks up, 2023 second round pick. He had a really good year this year. I mean, 15 home runs, 48 RBIs, 23 steals, hit over 300, 21 doubles. Of course, knowing the Twins' luck, he had an injury-shortened season, but he was just amazing at high A and double A. He had Tommy John surgery. Must have been his right arm, which seems like we always get those injuries. I mean, Walker Jenkins got hurt the first game of the season this year. It's just how the Twins are, but I think Keishel's going to be a really good player. I could see him at the end of this year, but I mean, coming off injury, I doubt it. But he's someone who I can't wait to see in the minor league system. I wish he was still in Cedar Rapids. And then, of course, I could say this is my favorite prospect. Peyton Neals, just an unbelievable story. If you haven't watched the Foolish Bailey video, I recommend it. But basically, his thing is he was signed out of indie ball. He had no D1 offers. He played at, I think, Cedarville University. He's 5'6", which is quite short. But he hit 306, 12 home runs, 60 RBIs, 41 steals, 930 OPS. And this isn't in just good old complex league. I mean, he started in Fort Myers, which is low A. He went to AAA to fill in, and he was still putting up these numbers. And he just defines grit. I mean, I hope he accepts my connection on LinkedIn because, it's be a great connection. But he's just an unbelievable player. I love his tools. He had a 20% walk rate, and I could go on and on talking about him, but I think he's going to be someone that Twins fans, hopefully, if everything goes well, will love. But I just love Peyton Neals. I want Niall to pick him up in the Dynasty League as soon as he can.
We'll have to consider that one. AJ, what about Tigers?
Yeah, I gotta go someone who got his toes wet in the major leagues this year, but Jackson Jobe. I mean, one of my favorite pitching prospects out of really anyone. Majors last year, only 4 innings in 2 games, both out of the pen. 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 hit. Not much sample size there, but in 2024 in the minor leagues, 91 innings, 5-3 record, with a 2.36 ERA in 21 starts, with 96 strikeouts, only a 178 average against him. Did have 45 strikeouts, so one of those things that he walked a little bit more guys, but he also didn't give up a lot of hard contact, only giving up 4 home runs in just over 91 innings in this time. I mean, home runs was his issue early on. His first year in the minors, 2022, 14 home runs. 2023, 9 home runs. And this is all much less innings, 20 less innings, almost right around 30 less innings. Past 2 years, he cut that number in half and added 20 more innings to his workload within that time. He also made some appearances out of the pen in the playoffs this past year. So I mean, a young guy making his debut, only 22 years old. I mean, pitching in his first year towards the end of the year, and then pitching on a playoff team in like big moments. I remember he had a big strikeout. I want to say it was bases loaded against the Astros to get him out of a jam there. I mean, he's been great. He's shown a lot of poise. And then next up, a guy for the future, Kevin McGonigal. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Last year in 2024, was only in A ball and A plus ball, but hit 209, 401 on base, 5 home runs, 4 triples, 16 doubles, 22 stolen bases. Again, I don't remember if it's this episode or our last episode you listened. I am a sucker for guys who have a good walk to strikeout ratio. He had 46 walks to only 28 strikeouts. I mean, that's a positive walk to strikeout ratio, which is insane. You don't ever see that. The only people you ever see that out of, again, I always bring him up in this conversation, is Juan Soto, guys who walk more than they strike out. You hardly ever see that. And hit 309 with an okay amount of home runs, 5 home runs, but a good amount of extra base hits, 25 extra base hits with 22 stolen bases in only 74 games. And I get it, most of the time was in A plus ball, but he's also only 20 years old. And he's a lefty bat. I mean, there's just a lot I like there out of him. Like I said, probably 2 years down the road. I mean, I'd say he's a quicker and a better eye than Colt Keith, like a better, like everything better except for power, really, than Colt Keith. I see a lot of similarities between the two, though.
Lucas, Tigers.
Yeah, first guy got Jace Jung. He's a third baseman, second baseman. He got some run in the majors. He's a 2022 first round pick, brother of Josh Jung for the Rangers. He got some big league action, as I mentioned. Wasn't amazing, but I mean, a guy that's only 2 years from being drafted, you have to take that into consideration. But in the minor leagues, he hit 258, 15 home runs, 63 RBIs. So again, that'll do for a team like Detroit, who's really exciting. And as a Twins fan, I'd say them and the Royals I really like, but not the Guardians. I mean, 841 OPS to AAA too. I mean, Toledo Mudhens in the International League, it's no easy task. It's not like the Pacific Coast League where you hit like 40 home runs. But I think that he definitely proved himself in the minors. And I think with the way the Tigers are constructed, he could definitely make an impact this year. Of course, a name I'm sure most baseball fans recognize, but Max Clark, he was the top 3 pick in 2023. It's been a little disappointing, but you can only hold guys to such high standards. I mean, 420 at bats, 279 average, 9 home runs, but 75 RBIs and 30 steals. Again, this is mostly low A in the Florida State League, which is nothing like amazing. But I mean, 75 RBIs is a number that really pops out to me. Only 9 home runs, but again, you kind of knew going into it that he wasn't going to be a power hitter extensively. I mean, he's speedy. 29 stolen bases, I think he can steal more than that. And 420 at bats, it's a good sample size for sure. And I think that depending on how the Tigers' outfield situation is, I mean, they have a lot of young guys. They got Kerry Carpenter, Parker Meadows, Juancio Perez. So I think there's kind of a logjam in the outfield, but I think there are a lot of high expectations for Clark, not Caitlin Clark, and he's matched them pretty well. I think next year is kind of going to be the year he's got to prove himself a little bit, just because as a top 3 pick, you're expected to do a little better. But I think there's definitely things to look forward to if you're a Tigers fan in Max Clark.
AJ, go ahead and give me your Royals.
Yeah, so I like Carter Jensen. He was a third round pick in 2021. He's a catcher. Last year spent some time in A plus ball and double A. Well, only hit 259. Hasn't been a great average. It doesn't hit great for average so far in his career. Only a 235 on base or average type hitter, but he gets on base a good amount. This year, 72 walks, 128 strikeouts, 17 stolen bases also out of the catching position, 18 home runs, which was a career high, 6 triples, which was a career high, and 22 doubles, which was second in his career, all in 125 games. But one thing I do really like is his walk to strikeout ratio throughout his entire career. I get this year wasn't great, but overall, 257 walks to 371 strikeouts with 40 stolen base up catcher's position. I get they have Blake Mitchell ahead of him, but he's only 20. Uh, I guess Carter's 21, so not much older. But who really knows Salvador Perez at this point? I mean, he's been great, but he's also getting older. I mean, I would say Jensen's a much better defensive catcher. Move Salvador Perez to DH a little bit more. Try to get him or at least have him have fresh legs every single game or a majority of the games. Move him to DH. And I couldn't tell you who the backup catcher is for the Royals right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if Carter Jensen slides into that backup catcher spot. And like I said, it gives Salvador Perez a couple more days of rest, not having to be back there as much and just being a DH and focusing on so it's going to help the team a little bit more uh, offensively than what we've had at least the last 2 years. It's been, I want to say 2 years since he had that record breaking home run year. And then Austin Charles is going to be our next guy, 21-year-old, plays some second or plays some shortstop and third. Good power guy also. Another guy who doesn't hit for a lot of average. Spent an entire year at single A, hit 257 with a 353 on base, but 10 home runs, 4 triples, 15 doubles within that time, but 36 stolen bases really jumped out to me. It's not like this team needs more speed. I mean, when you had Bobby Witt, that's enough speed for your entire team. But Austin Charles, I mean, won't play shortstop because, again, Bobby Witt's there, but who knows about third base? I want to say Michael Garcia was their third baseman for a little bit. Michael Massey hasn't really proved himself that much at second base, so potentially a move over there. But like I said, he's only playing A plus ball, so who knows if he's going to even make it to close to the major leagues this year. But maybe in 2 years, if he's able to work on that hit tool a little bit more, be able to hit more closer to 270, but still keep the same type of home runs and still the bases. This is a guy that maybe, like Michael Massey, be 22, 23 years old making his debut, but being a contributor.
Lucas, your Royals.
Yeah, I was looking at their prospect list, and I, for some reason, really like just their teams in the minor league system, but no names really were like amazing to me. First guy I thought was Gavin Cross. He's a top 10 pick in 2022. He had 261, 19 doubles, 15 home runs, 60 RBIs, 30 steals. So he's a pretty good player in all those categories. And I think that that's someone to look out for in the near future. And then AJ mentioned him a little bit, but Blake Mitchell, 2023 first round pick, non roster invite this year, which, I mean, he's only 20 years old, again, as he mentioned, but I think that's really interesting. Nothing like Ethan Salas, who was like 17, but I mean, a non roster invite for a second place finishing Royals team is something to take note of. And I think the catching situation, again, as AJ mentioned, Salvy's their one. I don't remember his name. I think Freddie Fermin's the backup. So again, it's no one like amazing. It's not like a Joe Mauer or something behind the plate. So I think that there could be room opening up depending on how Salvy does this year. But he hit 230, 20 home runs, 50 RBIs, 26 stolen bases between low A and high A. I remember the spring training game I went to. Some Royals fans were a little disappointed with how he'd been playing so far, just considering the expectations. But I think that at the catch position, that's so up and down in terms of production. He's shown that he can play. I mean, it's only in the A ball, but I mean, 26 stolen bases as a catcher. I feel like we're seeing a little bit of that being more popularized. Catchers being a little faster, which is kind of nice compared to the old adage that they're just like slow and old. But I think that Blake Mitchell is someone who's one of the top prospects for the Royals and really can contribute in the next year or two.
And AJ, the Guardians.
Yeah, so a guy I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this year, Travis Bazzana. I mean, they traded Andres Jimenez already this offseason. I think that was to open up second base for Bazzana. I mean, they were already talking about basically just drafting him and then playing him right away with the playoffs. I mean, they needed some offensive help, and Bazzana could have potentially helped them, but they decided not to. And he played his entire first year, 27 games, an A plus ball. Only hit 238, but 369 on base. with that time, 3 home runs, 7 doubles, 17 walks, 31 strikeouts. Did have 5 stolen bases. I mean, wasn't horrible, but wasn't outstanding. I mean, 10 extra base hits in 27 games is pretty solid, especially 24 hits in 27 games coming right out of college, going over to A plus ball, not over to like A ball or whatever the complex league or anything like that. He played some solid competition. But yeah, I expect him fully to make the opening day roster at second base, especially with the gap that they have there. I mean, like I said, they traded Andres Gimenez for a reason. They believe Bazana can start right away there for them. And then I'm going to go to the number 5 prospect for them is Ralphie Velasquez, 19-year-old at A plus ball, 6'3", 215 pounds at 19 years old. He was their first round pick in 2023. Really good hit and really good power tool. Uh, Last year spent time in A plus ball. Didn't hit the best at 231 average. 11 home runs, 1 triple, 23 RBI or 23 doubles, 66 walks and 95 strikeouts with 8 stolen bases. So solid there in 101 games. The one thing that really caught my eye, I get it, it was only 6 games, but it was a kind of crazy 6 game stretch that he had in rookie ball right after he was drafted. Hit 248 with a 340, 393 on base with a 1132 OPS. Again, 6 games with 2 home runs, three doubles, stolen base, 8 RBIs, and 7 runs. I kind of just saw that like right above his stats from this past season. I was like, that's crazy. But he has a great frame to him, a good lefty bat. He's someone that I wouldn't be surprised becomes their starting first baseman probably 2, 3 years down the road. I really like Cal Manzardo, but it seems like they don't really like Cal Manzardo, even though they traded for him. But Ravi Velasquez, I think, is someone who could really make an impact in a couple years.
And this one's probably going to pain you, Lucas, but your Guardians prospects.
Yeah, I can't pass on this one. But first guy, Daniel Espino. I mean, he was picked first round pick all the way back in 2019. But fortunately for him, the injury bugs plagued him. I think last year he had Tommy John, or it was a shoulder. I don't remember. I don't keep up with the Guardians. But only 4 games, 1-0, 2.45 ERA, 18 innings, 35 strikeouts, .71 WHIP. And I think to look at that strikeout number and be like, okay, that's only 18 innings though. But you look at his career numbers. I mean, Guardians fans love this guy. He was only 4-11 in his career in a 4 ERA, but 133 innings and 221 strikeouts. I think is something that's notable. So he has big league stuff, and if he can just not get injured, which I understand is not in the player's control, if he can just keep that injury bug down, I think he'll definitely make an impact this year or next year. And the next guy I have is Chase DeLauder. I just remember last year seeing on Twitter him hit a massive home run against the A's, and ever since then I've been a big fan of him. He was a first-round pick in 2022, similar to Espino, but not as bad. He had an injury-shortened season. So I just look at his career numbers to get an idea of how he plays, and they're pretty good. I mean, he hit 317, 13 home runs, 63 RBIs, and a 904 OPS. So in terms of his career, that's good, but can you see that replicated over a full season with the bumps that you have as a baseball player? We're going to have to see. But I think that the way he's playing his career, if he can replicate that, he's going to really make an impact along with a lot of young guys for the Guardians, which I'm not looking forward to as a Twins fan.
Well, there you have it, the AL Central. We only have 2 more divisions to talk about, so we do appreciate you guys' support as always. And as always, thank you guys for listening to another episode here on The Truth. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you follow The Truth on Twitter, The Truth as one, to stay up to date with the latest information regarding The Truth, including podcast dates, podcast uploads, and other important information you don't want to miss. Make sure you guys also follow The Truth on Instagram and TikTok at the.tt.truth. Are you looking to find a drink that offers peak hydration, raises your energy levels, speeds up your recovery, and keeps your mind sharp to focus memory? Look no further than Acid Rainwater. I'm excited to partner with Bloodline Sports AZ and Acid Rainwater, which focuses on peak hydration will also maintain an ecosystem-friendly product. Use code HESSON15, that's HESSON15 for 15% off every purchase. As always, I'm your host, the one you love the most, Niall Hesson, joined once again by AJ Ponciano and Lucas Hesson. Take care and good night.